Fine. So in our previous class, we were discussing about a numerical, and these were the given data in the problem, materially stated. So in real practical scenario, you are expected to search the database for the corresponding material and obtain the material related data. For example, the ultimate strength, yield strength, endurance limit, or the SN curve properties of the given material depending on your requirement. In this problem, already this data has been provided. The SN curve data has been given to you in the present problem. So the table what is given to you is actually the SN curve diagram data. Okay. So you can plot SN diagram either, or you can use the same table and then interpolate the corresponding values. Interpolation, you can do it. So we can have log life here in this particular axis and the corresponding alternating stress along the y-axis, and you plot these particular values. So if you operate at 168 KSI, if I write the unit in KSI, given is PSI, pound per square inch, we can write kilo pound per square inch. So to get the 10 to the power 2 cycles, so you can see there 100. Okay, what is the stress level you can operate? We can operate at 168, for example. As per scale we have to mark. Okay, if you mark as per scale, you take some scale 10 units or something like that. If you mark as per scale, this is nothing but the SN diagram data what is given in this table. So if you operate at 168 KSI, you apply that much of stress over the component, you are going to find the life of 100 cycles. Okay. Similarly, you can plot for all other points to get a corresponding curve. Okay. So if at all somewhere I want to get 10 to the power 3 cycles, 10 to the power 3 cycles, 1000 cycles, approximately this 160. So as per scale when you mark, you will get the right value. I'm just roughly showing the SN diagram how we might get. Okay. So maybe here we can go for 10 to the power 3. 10 to the power 3 if I want to get at 160. To be specific, it is 1350 cycles. So we can have one more point here. Correspondingly, other points you can see it is 3500 on a log scale. Log scale, accordingly you have to mark. Okay, if you take log scale, somewhere here we may get 3.5, somewhere closer to the 10 to the power 4. If this is 10 to the power 4 line, we want to draw little bit closer in a log scale. You can get 10 to the power, that's 7100. So 7.1 I'll write here. So that would be your another value. All values not required to plot, and this diagram plotting is not required, not a requirement for the present problem. I was just showing you the given table is nothing but the SN diagram. Only that is the thing. Okay. So to get maybe 10 to the power 4, somewhere less than 14, say how much? If you operate at 130 KSI, you are going to find 14,200 cycles. Okay. So approximately somewhere here on a log scale, we have 140, 130, for example, 130 KSI, which can give me 14,200. So like this, you can construct the SN diagram. Okay. Approximate SN diagram based on the given data. So here we have 1,10,000. Then endurance limit will come only where you are going to operate 68,000 and lesser. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10 to the power 6, around 70 KSI. About 70 KSI, we are going to have endurance limit of the curve. So that is what is given data. So how to interpret the given data in terms of the graph, that is what I was showing. Drawing graph is not a requirement for the present problem. Okay. Now in the present problem, you see stress value is not given. Load is given. Load is given. Okay. Now we have to assume, as a designer, you have to tell what should be the cross-sectional area to the customer. Now there are various theories. We can talk about safe life. We can go with the fail safe. Correct, no? We can plan all this. We can plan for the damage tolerant design. Damage tolerant design. So these are all various components, various type of possibilities which we can explore to in the design. Now here we will let us take some safe life. For a defined period of the life, component should not fail. Only possibility of the component failing is somewhere around 99%. Depending on what feature you are adapting, accordingly the dimension or the cross sectional area what you want to specify for the given cross section might vary. Okay, so 22,000 pound we want to apply 1200 cycle. This is load. Now for example, if you have assumed area A, let us take randomly, because last class I was explaining you how to assume this particular area. In the given problem, we have started with area is 0.2 inches. Okay. So you should have some broad understanding as a designer. You cannot randomly pick some value which will simply magnify the number of iterations required to achieve the optimum solution. So you need to make first use the understanding of the concepts, theories to arrive at the initial condition. There onwards, you apply the extensive theory to obtain particular solution and check whether further optimization possible. Or else what happens, as a designer, you have to put lot of effort in obtaining the optimum solution. That is why knowledge is one of the important parameter before you use the design procedure as a designer. Design procedure is set of rules, it is there. How to use that knowledge is required, but which procedure to adopt, how much value to give as an input, these are the preliminary discussions or preliminary understanding the designer should have. Okay, process is there, but using of that process as well as to use that process efficiently, you should do certain background study, some understanding. So for example, if you consider, let us say cross sectional area, you suggest one X engineer X is suggesting cross sectional area to be 10 inch. If cross sectional area is 10 inch, you calculate what would be the stress now for a given load. The stress value sigma A would come as 22 KSI, 22,200 PSI. Okay, 2200 PSI. It is pound, no? Pound by inch. So if you divide this by 10, your stress would be 2200 PSI. Now if you look into your SN diagram, 2200, if you have the stress value 2200, it is much lesser than this. Your component is never going to fail. If you operate at 68,000 PSI, then only component is not failing. If you operate at 70,000 KSI, then the component is failing somewhere, or you will get approximately the endurance limit 10 to the power 6. Okay. In that case, if you suggest as a designer 10 inch size, you see the load, the maximum, for a maximum load, the stress you are getting 2200, the component is never going to fail at all for infinite number of cycles. But what is the real requirement? Real requirement is you are applying only 1200 number of cycles. 1200 number of cycles. Okay. Others are also there, but I am just talking about the largest load possible. Other loads are being lesser than that. If you fix initially for the largest load, others obviously will come for lower value. Therefore, let us talk with the largest load applied. We are applying only 1200 number of cycles of that. So 1000, if you take n by n ratio damage for the first cycle, you are applying 1200 divided by infinity. The component is not at all failing, there is no damage is occurring. Is it worth? This you have to think. Is it worth to have a component with 10 inch just because it will not fail? How much cost you are going to make for your product? Is it economical from industrial perspective? It is not. Lot of material. You see, in the problem we started with 0.2 inch. 0.2 inch approximately, let us say somewhere around 6 mm. And 10 inch means how much? 10 inch means at least 250 mm. You see the difference in sizes approximately. Okay. So 6 mm is where 250 mm is where. That much large we are assuming 10 inch in the sense. You take now engineer B or Y. Engineer Y is suggesting maybe 1 inch. 1 inch as the size. If it is 1 inch, now what is happening to the stress value? Sigma A would be same 22,000 psi, pound per square inch. You again look for your SN diagram for the given material. Even if you operate at 22,000 psi, 22,000 psi, still the component is having a lot of life left. You are applying only 1200 number of cycles. Lot of life has been left in the component, which is going as a wastage. Therefore, even considering the diameter as 1 inch is also not enough. Okay. I mean, it becomes too conservative. Lot of loss you are going to make for the company in terms of material and its cost. Think about further smaller size to some minimize the requirement of the material and to make use of the best to make use of the material property. Okay. You come now, for example, the next engineer Z is suggesting cross-sectional area to be, let us say, same 0.2 inch what is given, 0.2 inch. So like this, initially you have to make some prediction, not start with any number straightforward blindly. So 0.2 inch if somebody is making, then you just calculate and tell me the what is stress for the first case with 0.2 inch, sigma A with 0.2 inch. Now this is gone. 22,000 divided by 0.2. Any value for the stress? Anyone?
110 KSI.
110
KSI.
Okay, KSI. That means 1,10,000 PSI. Okay. So in terms of PSI, 1,10,000 into 10 to the power 3 PSI. Okay. Let us look for the SN diagram. Where is 1,10,000? You can note here there is 1,10,000. And that can give you how many number of cycles? Let me change in color. Okay. So this 1,10,000, if the stress value, you compare how much number of cycles you see, you are going to get approximately 55,500 cycles. Okay. If you think this is too much, you further reduce the dimension and see. If you think this is quite okay, then it is fine. Initial trial. So like this, you have to arrive at some value for the initial condition. So in this problem, first we have taken 0.2 by this understanding, and then we have proceeded with the next. The number of iterations will carry out so that you can optimize the process. And in this problem, it is asked that we have to use the two different theories. One is Manson's double linear theory, and one more is the Palmgren-Miners theory. By using these two theories, we have to give the optimum possible solution for the customer, so that he can make that particular solid circular ring for whatever application he has with very low material consumption. Cross section, whichever is not mentioned, you may assume square, you may assume circular or hexagon, whatever. This I have told in the last class. In the present case, just because for simplicity, we will assume cross section circular, diameter D. It becomes easy to calculate the area, uniform all the places. Okay, but you are free to talk about your own required cross section. Okay, fine. So with this idea, you can look here now. 0.2 area has been assumed. So assume the cross-sectional area 0.2 square inch. Okay. 3 load cases are over there. Okay. PA. What is happening? Okay. PA 22,000 PSI. PB was there. Load 1200, 12,000 PSI. And PC 6500 PSI you have to apply. And how many number of cycle? 7,000, 1,200 and here 50,000. So these many number of cycle, this block has to be applied. And moreover, it is stated in the problem, in this particular sequence only, we have to apply 3 number of times. 3 times we have to apply. And the component should not fail. Okay. So when you apply somewhere around 300, altogether this 1200 we are going to apply as 3 times means how much it will become altogether? 3600. So altogether we need to apply 3600 cycle. This particular magnitude we have to apply 21,000 cycles and 50,000 we have to apply for 1,50,000 cycles altogether when you multiply that 3 times. As we know that in case of the Minor's rule, Palmgren minor rule or linear theory, sequence effect is not considered. Sequence, it doesn't matter in what sequence you are applying as far as linear rule is there. It will not give us the sequence effect. Therefore, if we use this number of cycles altogether, 3 times altogether, it doesn't matter when you are using the Palmgren minor's linear rule. But if you are using other rules, it does matter. Okay, this we have discussed in theory. Why Palmgren minor rule do not takes the sequence effect. Then one more non-linear theory also I will discuss if time permits today, where sequence effect can be considered. Okay, and then we have also seen Manson rule, where crack initiation, crack propagation difference we can clearly make, and there again we cannot count all the cycles together, all the 3 blocks together we cannot do straightforward, but we can differentiate number of cycles for crack initiation and crack propagation. That way we have to break up. Okay, anyways, so this part I told you work it out by your own. Anyone made an effort to get a solution? As we already used the Palmgren minor rule, one problem we have solved. Anyone who has made effort, if you want to share, you can. If not, anyways, I'll explain because there are many I know who has not even made effort. So let us see, look into this. You can prepare a table like this. This table is only prepared for simplicity. There is no requirement that you prepare a table in this particular fashion, but this becomes quite easy to calculate the values. You can see here various blocks have been made. So you can just make a table in this particular fashion. Okay. Okay. You have 3 different load levels, load level A, load level B, load level C. This is given 22,000 Newton, 12,000, not Newton, 22,000 pounds, 12,000 pound and 6,500 pounds. Okay. And cross-sectional area is we have assumed. This is what we have to suggest as a designer in this present problem. Therefore, for a first iteration, we have assumed the cross-sectional area to be 0.2. 0.2. Okay. Calculate the corresponding stress. This is nothing but load upon area. It is mentioned in the problem, this is axial load. That is why it is load upon area. Okay. Don't blindly consider stress. This is load by area straightforward. The present problem, it is quoted that we have to assume, or it is mentioned, it is an axial member. The load applied is axial in nature. Therefore, I am writing the equation of axial stress load upon area. Suppose it was written bending, then the stress equation would have been S is equal to M by I into Y. And instead of load, moment should be given, or some data to calculate the moment should have been given. Okay, remember this. Don't blindly take whenever stress means load upon area. You identify first what is the nature of stress and then go ahead. Okay, fine. Now we know that total number of cycles to failure, total number of cycles. If at all you are applying a stress value of 110 KSI or 1,10,000 PSI, if this value of load you are applying, what is the total life you are going to get? So with this table you can make out that for a 1,10,000 cycles, 1,10,000 stress value, what is the number of cycles you are getting? That is 55,500. That is what is written over here, 55,500. Then 60,000 psi of stress we are applying, and for 60,000 psi of stress, you can see it is less than 68,000. If you apply 68,000 psi stress, you are going to get infinite life. So if you apply 68,000 of stress, you are going to find the life infinite. Therefore, you have to write infinity. Similarly, when you apply 32,500 stress, total number of cycles to failure are infinite. That means the component is not at all going to fail if you apply a stress value of 60,000 or 32,500. But if you apply a stress value of 1,10,000 psi, you are going to find the total number of cycles are 55,500. But how much you are applying in reality? Pardon? Anyone have a query?
Oh, it's you, an officer of the court, so naughty. Don't worry, we're cool. We get our probation in Mexico. Tell us more
Watching
about
movies,
Tuscany. Remember when we were saving up to go there? What did we end up blowing that money on?
please inform your friend to
Your life
mute
sounds so exciting.
the
Your house is so beautiful with such nice
live
things.
mute all or
Dodge ballet lessons and college funds. The grass is greener. Your grass is greener. We can't seem to get Cal to pee indoors.
Well, your family seems great, and Mitchell, you are killing it at the office.
Really? Because I feel like I'm kind of getting more low-profile starter cases.
I wouldn't worry about that. There's actually
Yashwant Bharadwaj. Yashwant Bharadwaj.
What was that, though? Please let me be one of their kids. There you are.
Okay. So you have to be attentive for the class. If you are watching movies, you watch by muting your mic here. Okay, or whatever the case. Please, all of you. It is disturbing others. I am resharing the screen. Harshit also. Okay. Is my screen visible? Can
Yes,
anyone
sir.
confirm? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. We are not going to, I was talking about how many cycle we are applying. We are applying 1200 cycle into 3 times. So that means we are only making use of 3600 cycles. Now when you go and apply the damage rule, D is equal to summation of Ni by capital Ni. That means number of cycles we are using for a defined load and total life we are going to get at that load. So for this rule there are only 3 load sequences. So we have N1 by capital N1 plus N2 by capital N2, or we can write ABC also as we are writing A. So you write either ABC, left to you. Or you want to give number or notations, but follow any one thing, notation or number, understand what is its meaning. Okay, no need to worry. NC. So like this. Now what is your NC here? This is infinite. This bottom N3 or N2 or NB, this is also infinite. Only this is 55,500. Okay, and how many cycles we are applying? NA we are applying 3,600. N2 we are applying 21,000 altogether. NC we are applying 1,50,000. Now you take this ratio, how much value you will get? very, very negligible damage we are going to find. 0.065. 0.065. This is the damage what is going to occur in the material after completing entire block of loading 3 times. In reality, the loading is in sequence. You are applying 1200 first and then 7000 cycles of another magnitude followed by 50,000 cycles of another magnitude, then repeat the sequence. But since Palmgren minor rule is not taking the sequence effect, you can directly take all the cycle together only for this rule, okay. Even if you do individually, once you consider 1200 divided by 55,500 plus you apply the next cycle, that is 7,000 cycles and then infinity plus 50,000 cycles into infinity, then next cycle. This is sequence 1, first sequence. The same you are going to repeat second time plus same you are going to repeat third time. In this sequence also you consider you are going to find the same, because the theory is linear theory and it is just a summation. Therefore, we cannot have the interaction effect or the sequence effect. That is the reason in this table directly all together total N1 cycles have been taken after straightforward 3 blocks of loading. And despite that, you are going to find the net damage is only 0.065, which is much smaller than the value of 1. 1 means it is failure. 1 or greater, we assume that it is a failure, damage fraction. Okay. So that means what? The cross-sectional area 0.2 inch, what you have assumed, is too large. The damage occurred in the component is very small. We can further refine. Therefore, instead of considering 0.2, for next iteration you consider 0.15 and see. Or one more engineer may consider 0.1 also. Any one you take and see the trial. Which one would give you the better results? Then further refine. So like that. In the present problem, I think next iteration it is considered 0.15 square inch. Okay. So now consider that 0.15 square inch, same procedure. There is no change with the procedure, same procedure. Just repeat it. Okay. Now when you change the area, the corresponding stress is different. Load upon area. Area we have changed. Load is applied load is same, 22,000, 12,000 and 6,500 pounds. Whereas applied stress is varying because cross-sectional area is now smaller. Load upon area. You see the stress value. 1,46,700, 80,000 and 43,300. Okay. Let us look back into that table. Now we are having 1,40,000, no? What is the stress value? 1,46,700 is the stress value. Other one is 80,000 psi. So come back to this table. Okay. 1,46,000 sits where? 46. One is 80,000, no? Somewhere 80,000. We have ready here. One is 80,000. Other one, how much? I forgot. 1,46,700. 1,46,700 sits here in between. 1,46,700 stress value, PSI. How much number of cycles it gives us? That sits in between this value, okay. If it have been 1,50,000 or 150 KSI of stress, then you are going to get 3,500 number of cycles. If it is 1,40,000 is the stress value, then you are having 7,100 cycles. But for 1,46,700 PSI, approximately 146 KSI, what is the value? This you have to determine. Interpolation. You cannot just do for 1,50,000 KSI or 1,50,000 PSI, it is 3,500. For 46,700, how much, or x I will write. You cannot do with only these two values because it is not linear variation. You observe here, if it was a linear variation, then only this would have been fine. It is not linear variation. You have to take another one, 1,40,000, you have 7,100. 7,100. For these values, now you calculate what is x by using your mathematics knowledge. It's simple interpolation. There are various numerical methods. You do any simple interpolation. The regular interpolation is also fine. It is an interpolation. Okay. Use the interpolation function and determine what is x. There are n number of numerical methods. You take any one. The straightforward primary preliminary interpolation technique is more than sufficient. Okay. So determine what is x value. Use your mass and determine what is x. By taking these three values, it is mandatory to take three. Don't only take say that 1,50,000, 3,500, then how much for x? You cannot do like this cross multiplication because the variation is not linear. Say here there is a linear variation, 10, 10, 10 each, okay, 10, 10 KSI each. But in the other side, it is not linear variation because SN diagram, you do not have a linear variation, you have some quadratic variation. So you have, for example, this particular point, 150 KSI value point, some number of cycles, that is 3,500. You have one more point, that is 7,100 at 140 KSI. Then what is the value for 146 KSI? This is required. This is not exactly the midpoint. This is not the linear path. Therefore, you have to go for the interpolation. Okay. So after doing this interpolation, the x value you are going to get somewhere around 4,000 something. So that is what is listed in the table. For 1,46,700, you are going to get 4,500 cycles, which is not there in the given table, but you have to determine from the given table. For 80,000 stress value, it is directly there in the given table. You can write that 4,45,000 cycles. This is the
Excuse
total
me, sir.
number of, yes.
Sir, could you explain how did you find N2 for 4,500 cycles?
4,000?
How did you get 4,500 cycles? Is it normal linear?
Here.
Yeah, sir, is it linear interpolation or?
A regular linear interpolation you can apply, but not the cross multiplication.
Okay.
Despite it is not linear, if you apply at least that interpolation, you will get better result. You can go to non-linear, no problem. No problem. You can use the non-linear also, but for simplicity, you rely on simple linear, but not the cross multiplication.
Okay, sir.
One order is enough. No need to go for the second order equation. Okay. Regular simple interpolation is fine. In reality, it is not, but we also do not know what is the non-linearity. That non-linearity is accounted here. For this much cycle, this is the value. The another cycle, this is the value. Automatically, some little bit approximation you will get even with the basic linear interpolation function. That is fine. That would be sufficient. No need to go further specific. Okay. But theory you have to understand. If you want tomorrow for your practical case more further practical thing, then you can even use non-linear interpolation. Okay. That will give you much precise answer. For example, in this case, we have obtained 4,500 cycles. Okay. But when you use the exact non-linear predicting path equation, then you might get x could be 4,510 or 4,508. So like this. Some variation definitely you are going to find if you want to capture this variation exactly. Okay. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So then once you have this total number of cycles for failure at that stress value, the procedure is same. Take the cycles ratio and find out the cumulative damage. Now cumulative damage will become 0.85. which is still less than 1. If you want to be on the safer side, you want to consider some factor of safety, then you tell this is the size for your customer. You tell him that you have to go for that strut cross-sectional area of 0.15. as it is not mentioned what is should be the cross section, the shape of the cross section, square or circular, etc., we need not worry. Or if it was stated circular cross section, then from this area I will use A is equal to pi by 4 d square, and we will find out how much diameter cross section you should go for. Okay. If it is a square cross section, each side is B. When it is said square, both sides are equal. So you have B square. So from your A, you determine what is the value of B, and you tell your customer this is the cross size you have to go with for the shape. Okay. But one more engineer, engineer Z will think that again there is little scope to further utilize the remaining available life in the component. Okay. So in that case, you need not stop at this iteration. Now you can see how we have started, because we had some preliminary understanding how much cross section to consider. Within 2 iterations, we achieved almost close value. If you would have taken 10 or 100 inch like that randomly without understanding, just because some area you have to take, then it would have been taken long time for you to arrive at this particular values. Okay. So that is where engineers understanding is required in the real application. Procedure is there. You might be aware about procedure, but using that procedure effectively to achieve the optimum solution within the least possible time, or using it efficiently, that requires some understanding of the basic concepts. Okay. So one more engineer might think there is little bit life extra is left in the component, and he want to now design a component such that just for the cost, till it satisfies the values. Okay. He will go for the third iteration, and now consider the cross sectional area little bit further reduced, 0.148 inches. With this, you do the same calculations, determine what is the number of cycles and etc. You can see here now 3800 you will get if you operate at 1,48,700 psi stress. 3800 is the only cycle, and altogether you are applying 3600 cycles. Remaining damage left is only for the 200 cycles. You have to now check whether the other loads what you are applying are causing the remaining damage, cumulative damage is coming that much or not. Okay. So altogether now you calculate and find out what is the total cumulative damage. Just sum it up. 1 or little bit greater than 1 you may get. Okay. If that is acceptable to you, you go ahead, because it is said that we want to achieve 99% reliability. It is not said in the problem that we want to achieve all the 100% component should survive. We want only 99% of the component to be survived. 1% failure is okay. So when the damage is 1, the component is going to fail. So little bit damage here and there, 001 or something like that, it will not affect much. Okay. It will be within the limit. So you may say that this would be the cross-sectional area. So this is one more engineer's design. So you want to be a bit safer side, you retain yourself here. Some factor of safety is there. You don't want to take any factor of safety, you go one more iteration further and suggest this as the cross-sectional area. Okay. So your justification is important. What you want to consider as a designer, that statement is important. There is no fixed value. Nobody can say that 0.14 previous value is the right, or no one can say that 0.148 is right always. Either way, there its own better things are there, its own cons are available. So we have to look into that. Okay. Up to what extent you want to take risk, accordingly you decide now. So values are there. Suggesting is now designer's choice. He has to plan, he has to decide depending on how much reliable was his data. For example, in this problem, it is stated that I am applying 22,000 pounds of load. Now you have to ask the question, how far in a real application I can maintain the load constant 22,000 pounds only. Suppose it was instead of 22,000 pounds, in one or two cycles, somewhere because of some environmental issue or something, it is crossed 22,500. Then there is no safety in this particular design. Okay, little bit extra, 500 pounds is not a big issue when looking into 22,000. Okay, so this is one uncertainty. How far we are applying in the same sequence, another problem. Okay, so how far is the reliable your SN diagram data where we have determined this? SN diagram data is obtained in the laboratory test condition. Have you corrected it? If you have used the correction factors, then it is okay. If not use correction factors, that SN diagram data, if it is not reliable, for that some factor of safety is required. So these are the things you have to understand before you suggest the final solution. So the final solution what we suggest here is depending on several factors. Numerical value wise, yes, it is showing us that component is going to be safe with this value. But from the practical scenario, is this value is considerable or not? All that discussion, the brainstorming, the design engineer should have before he suggests the final dimension. Okay. So this is with respect to Palmgren-Weiner rule. Now let us look into the Manson's rule. In case of Manson's rule, we know that we can distinguish the cycles for crack propagation and for the crack initiation. If the total number of cycles we are going to get 730 greater than 730, then we can apply this rule for the propagation. If it is not greater than 730 cycle, total life is not greater than 730 cycle, then whatever 730 or less than that cycles are there, we assume that it is all for the crack propagation only. At the first instance only there is some crack and that is going to propagate. Then we will not use this particular formula and will not differentiate crack initiation and propagation. So crack initiation is 0. Only cycles are straightforward for the crack propagation. Then the postulate is same, similar to the linear rule, okay. Once we will apply for the initiation, once we will apply for the propagation, that is it. Now from our previous trial, we have obtained our cross-sectional area either 0.148 or cross-sectional area 0.15, any one, depending on the discussion I have provided. You have considered one, let us say we have considered 0.15. Let us proceed with this and see, apply this particular rule and let us see after how many number of cycle crack is going to initiate. Okay, that idea is important now. After certain number of cycle, crack will initiate, and then we cannot apply the initiation formulas. We have to talk about the propagation related concepts. You form the same table. Most of the values are same. If the total life of the component is 4,500, what you are getting from the SN diagram, when you apply 1,46,000 cycles of load or stress, you are going to find total life as 4,500. Total life is 4,500. This is total NF or NT, whichever you want to life put. In this NT or NF, it is a summation of initiation and propagation. So NI plus NP. This is total. 4,500 cycles consist initiation cycles and propagation cycles. So out of 4,500 total life, how many cycles for initiation, how many life cycles for propagation, this you have to calculate. Okay. So we have formula by the Manson. NP is 14 into total cycles to the power 0.6 for a steel material. This will give you the NP, cycles for crack propagation. So if you want to get initiation life, then it is nothing but total life minus NP. So you have here 4,500 total minus 14 into 4,500 to the power 0.6. This will give you the initiation. Ni. So that is what is written here, Ni and propagation life. Okay. So out of 4,500, 2,180 cycles will go for the propagation, 2,320 cycles will go for the crack initiation. Total life is 4,500 when you apply this much particular load. Let us go back to the SN diagram value here. We are at here 46,700. Total life is 4,500 cycles. This is the value 4,500. Here we can write 4,500. Out of this 4,500, you have 2,100 odd for the propagation and you have 2,300 odd for the initiation. That breakup is what provided. That is what we have obtained. Okay. Is that here that concept is clear? See here 14 is not multiplied to this value. That is why this value you have to multiply with 14 cycles to propagation. Okay. So initially you calculate that, differentiate between initiation and propagation, because when you use the damage rule you have to use twice. Applied number of cycles you have to first divide with the initiation, cycles for initiation. Applied number divided by initiation for the propagation. N1, N2 by Ni, Ni2, Ni1 plus N3 by Ni3. Crack propagations or the initiation depending on which cycle ratio you are finding out. 2 times you have to apply. That is what is the theory. 2 times. So here it is not total life. Here also it is not total life. In case of pomegranate minor damage rule, direct damage rule, it is N1 by N2, where this N2 is total. This N2 is total. In case of Manson rule, you have to break this of N2 into initiation life, sorry, N1 by N1, capital N1, initiation life at that load and propagation life at that load. Correspondingly, you have to use that in the denominator 2 times. This is the difference between Manson rule and the Minor's rule. Manson rule, that is why it is said the double linear. We are using the linear rule, but differentiating into cycles for crack initiation and crack propagation. Okay. So now from the same table, now area, because of our previous iterations, we know that 0.15 would give us the approximately total damage of 0.85. That is what we have understood. So 0.15, first stress is 4,000, 1,46,700 psi, and I am going to apply for 1,200 cycles. Okay, and we know that initiation life is 2,320. When I operate at 1,46,700 psi of stress, the total life I am going to get for the crack initiation is 2,320. How many cycles I am applying this particular load is only 1,200, not 3,600. Do not multiply this with 3 in this case. Earlier we did that because there was no difference between the sequence effect. Here there is a difference in terms of how many cycles go for crack initiation. We never know. Crack will initiate. If you multiply this with 3, then crack would initiate somewhere because of this. But if you follow this sequence, crack would not have formed even after this particular sequence once the block is applied. So do not multiply here. Don't apply the 3 block all together in this particular theory when you are using the Manson's rule. You have to apply in terms of given sequence only. So 1,200 number of cycles only we are applying of this mentioned stress value or of this corresponding load value, which is going to give us the defined stress. And we know the number of cycles required for the crack initiations are 2,320. This is not total life. For this 1,46,000, total life was 4,500. Okay. In this, crack initiation is this much, 2,320. Remaining 2,180 cycles for crack propagation. So we have to consider now first only the crack initiation cycles. Now take its ratio, initiation cycle to the applied cycle. We are going to get 0.517. Okay. Next, for the 80,000 KSI, we are applying only for 7,000 cycles. The total life, initiation life, total number of cycles for initiation is 4,10,700. Whereas total life for that is how much it is? 4,45,500. Okay. So you can differentiate here. Cycles for crack propagation 34,300, cycles for crack initiation 4,10,700. So we have to consider this initiation cycle. So initiation cycle 4,10,7,000. Take that ratio 7,000 divided by this. 7,000 divided by 4,10,700. You are going to have the next value. Cumulative is written here. This is cumulative. Just add this plus this is this. Okay. Next, you apply the stress value of 43,300. We have the total life infinite. When the total life is infinite, that means there is no damage is happening over the component. That is the theoretical assumption. So we need not differentiate into how much cycle to propagation, how much to nucleation. When there is no damage, there is no nucleation. That is the idea. Therefore, number of cycles nucleation, infinity. You have no damage accumulated in the first block of loading. You have completed here one block of loading. You have completed one block of loading. Now this block of loading you have to apply another 2 times. Again start with 22,000 with the same component. 1,200 cycle we have to apply. Initiation life is this much. Already some damage is occurred in the first block. When you applied the first block of loading, total damage occurred is 0.534. 0.534 is the total damage occurred together. Now you start the second block of loading. You are going to see that damage is exceeding the value. Damage D is greater than the value of 1. That means crack is initiated. And you can see it is not equal to 1. Crack is not just initiated. During this 1,200 number of cycles you are applying, somewhere in between crack is initiated. You do not know whether crack is initiated after 800 cycles or after 900 cycles, or whether it is just 1,199 cycles you have here and 1,200 cycle crack is initiated. We do not know after how many cycles crack is initiated. Therefore, we have to now differentiate out of 1,200 cycles, after how many cycle crack has been initiated. Here damage is occurred. That is what we are observing. Okay, damage is crossing 1 and this cycle ratio is for initiation life. Summation initiation by initiation. Initiation by initiation only. And in this we are getting the value greater than 1 means somewhere crack is initiated during this block of loading. Now you have to segregate. Okay. Previous damage was 0.534. The component got damage because of the first block of loading. You have applied 22,000 pounds load. After that you have applied 12,000 pound load for different cycle. And after that you have applied 6,500 pounds load. The damage occurred by that time is 0.534. Total damage occurred by that time is 0.534. What is the failure limiting criteria? This should be less than 1. Okay. So now equate. Your damage is 0.534 and over this you are applying the next block of loading. So that cycle you cannot apply 1,200. You want to find out this NA to be how much if you want to achieve the damage of 1. If you want to achieve the damage of 1.051, then it is 0.534 plus 1,200 divided by 2,000 320 is equal to 1.051. Okay. We want to determine now, instead of 1200, if you apply some other lower cycle, lesser cycle, at what value you can achieve this damage to be 1, not greater than 1. That is why this we have kept it as unknown. Solve this equation, determine. So now you are understanding that out of 1200 cycles, 1200, this much is going for initiation. So when you apply 1080 cycles, 1080 cycles of 22,000 pound load or 1,46,700 psi of stress, the crack has been initiated in the component. So remaining out of 1200 minus 1080 is equal to remaining cycles, 120 cycles. They cause the crack propagation. So the next cumulative damage, we have to talk about the crack propagation. Crack is initiated now. Okay, crack is initiated. Next we have to talk about only the crack propagation. So we have to take from this table next the cycles for propagation. Here onwards, cycles for crack propagation, not the crack initiation. So you continue the same table. The first block of loading gave you point D with the initiation. Where shall I write? I'll write here. D of 1 you have achieved. By this time you have completed 22,000 pound 1200 cycle, 12,000 pound 7,000 cycles, 6,500 pound 50,000 cycles, and you have completed again the next block 22,000 pound 1080 cycles, 1080. Next remaining 120 we have to apply, and that we will start with the propagation. So that is why you can see remaining 120 and the cycle ratio now with the propagation, not with the initiation. Okay, so 120 divided by the propagation, you will have some damage, and 7,000 with the propagation. So this is propagation life. Carefully you make a note. 14 total life to the power 0.6. This formula what we have used earlier. Take the damage, determine the cumulative, then go for the next block of loading in the same way. 2.180 is the propagation, 1200 we have to apply. We got this much of damage. 34,300 cycles, 1.01 damage. The last one is going to give us infinite only, 0, no addition. Therefore, it is anyways understood. No damage is going to occur because of that last load. Okay, you just calculate the summation. This itself is summation together. 1.1 is summation, or here we can do the summation. Okay, so this value is here. We have altogether the total accumulated damage to be 1.01. Okay, 1.01 is the total accumulated damage. Now you see, by using Manson rule, 0.15 is giving us the damage. By taking earlier Palmgren minor rule, 0.148 inch was giving us 1.001 damage. Okay, so that is why earlier we found by minors, if I write minors rule, 0.148 inch was the damage, which give us 1, or for 15 inch we had D is equal to 0.85. There was some factors were left, but according to Manson's rule, now when we are determining the damage, what we are going to find is for 0.15 inch, the net damage occurred is already 1.01. It is crossing 1.01 when you are with the 12,000 Newton cycle load. Okay. So this is the difference. You see, though the difference is very minimal, it can significantly affect the total life of the component. Okay. You can read this conclusion. It could be noted that failure is barely predicted during the load level B of the third block of loading. This indicates that selected area is too small, little bit, slightly small, because you see, I have to apply another 6,500 with 0.15 area corresponding stress and for the 50,000 cycle. Though the theory tells us it is going to give us infinite number of cycles, what is the guarantee you have that component with this particular damage will survive? Theoretically, yes. In the practical scenario, the component is already having the crack, which is propagated to the fracture level. You can see it is propagated to the fracture, where the moment it is said D is equal to 1 for propagation, dP, propagation life achieved 1 means the crack is propagated fully, it is done, it is fractured. Then there is no way I can apply 6,500 load in a practical case. Theoretically, mass wise, you calculate here, since the life is infinity, you get no damage, you still survive with the corresponding damage. Theoretically, you survive with the same damage. But there is nothing to survive when the damage is crossed 1.01. Okay. So compare your practical scenario and the theory you see. This understanding is important. Okay. Just because value is less than 0.1 even after here, it doesn't mean that in practical scenario you can apply the load. Therefore, what does it mean? We can further increase little bit the cross-sectional area. You can carry out one more iteration with area considering 0.152 inch and do the same calculations again by using Manson's rule and determine the final value. Okay. So this is about the conclusion from the present problem. Anybody is having any query related to this problem? This is to show you the significance of different theories, how we can make use of various theories, when to use. Can we rely on the first one? Say earlier we quoted, despite the difficulties or the shortcomings of the Palmgren minor rule, people use that. People use that for the first approximation, but we cannot rely on the same. Okay. In the Manson theory, it is still linear theory. We have only separated the total cycles for initiation and propagation. We have not considered the sequence effect. Sequence effect altogether is not considered. Despite we use the Manson theory, in that also the total sequence effect is not considered. Okay. For that we have to use the non-linear theory. But the problem to use the non-linear theory is the datas. The datas. Okay. We do not have that much amount of data. Maybe for simple common purpose steel you might have. What you will do if you get some titanium alloy for your structure, aluminum alloy, you are working in aerospace industry or somewhere corresponding to that specific composition material. Who is going to give you the data? That industry has the database, fine. You can make use from there. If not, from where you get that data? Because those data has to be determined experimentally. There is no way you can obtain the empirical data to use those non-linear theories. For when such case arises, you take like the simple theories, linear theories, and just obtain an approximate solution and then consider some amount of factor of safety to overcome the uncertainty. But it is a big decision for the designer to assume what should be the level of that factor of safety. Because your competitor assigns better factor of safety level than yours, which can save him lot of money, then your design would be a waste. So it is very critical when we take the factor of safety, it should be thoroughly discussed and validated with several factors. In your MD1, you might have straightforward take factor of safety of 2, factor of safety of 3, just to make your component safe. Okay, that is not the way factor of safety should be decided. It must be decided based on how much risk you can take for that particular component. That is the way factor of safety should be decided. How much risk can be taken, how much risk a designer is willing to take. It should not be the way that I just want to make my component not to fail at all. Those days are gone. Those days were there. For example, you compare the Ambassador car of olden days. Best when during crash comes, nothing will happen to the vehicle, but person inside dies. That is different story. But vehicle was so rigid. Then what is the purpose of so rigid vehicle? That you have to ask. When there is no mileage, efficiency was less because of the weight, larger components, stronger components, everything okay. It was too bulky, too heavy. Okay. So driving comfort, safety of the passengers. So these are the things we have to compare. Why we are giving age-old example to the today comparison, it becomes easy. When I say talk with only 0.1 or some delta improvement, you will not understand the difference. You compare with that scenario. Okay. So these are all the some practical issues with the fatigue. Okay. If you do not have any doubt, let us look into the remaining part of the CDT. That is, let us look into the nonlinear theory. One of the nonlinear theory, just to give you idea about the sequence effect. Okay. So one of the theory, nonlinear theory, is Markov-Tarski, which is widely used after these two theories what we have discussed, whether it is linear rule or the Manson's double linear rule. Apart from this, this is another theory, and in this theory, you can note that non-linearity is there. You can see the power m. Earlier, our rules are straightforward, n by n. Whether if it is Miner's rule, if it is Manson's rule, 2 times. I have to write for initiation plus I have to write for the propagation. But these are still linear in nature. This is Miner's rule and this is Manson's rule. Okay. Whereas you compare here with the Markov-Tarski theory, they proposed a rule. D is same cycle ratio n by n, but with the power m, summation with the power m. So this power gives you the non-linearity factor into the equation. It could be second order, it could be third order, it could be some point. This depending on this value should be determined experimentally, and it is a function of stress level. You can make a note here. The value m is a function of stress level. That means what is the magnitude of the stress you apply? That is going to be considered whether the next load is going to cause damage or not. In case of previous problem, I will write the same value since those are fresh in your mind. We applied 22,000 Newton for 1200 cycles. Then we applied 12,000 load. This is in pound load cycles n. Okay. Then we applied, this is for 7,000 cycles, and we applied 6,500 for 50,000 cycles. And this block we have repeated again and again. Okay. If you use Markov-Tarski theory, what may happen is you might get some damage here. Say D, you will get some damage, 0.534. Here for 7,000, you may not get the damage. You may not even get the damage could be 0. Just because the previous load was much higher than this. So that is what is meant by function of the stress level. What is the relationship between these stress levels? Okay. It may not be there, it could be there. That depending on how much m you will get. This function. This m is a function of the stress magnitudes, function between the stress magnitudes. How the material responds when different load magnitude are applied. This data must be obtained experimentally first to come at and arrive at this m value. Okay. So you have to laboratory test it. You apply this value, you test it. You apply the next value and you test it, and you compare how the damage varied. Then you obtain this M. That is the difficulty of having this data. You do not have this data in open domain. Therefore, it becomes quite difficult to use this type of theory. Okay, if you have the data, well and good, you can go ahead and use that, because this is definitely more advantageous than the previous nonlinear theories what we have discussed. Okay. Here, the each stress level, a completely reversed stress level amplitude, is determined by this particular damage rule, where you can see the power m. All other rule is same. Only thing is power m is there. Okay. So specimen subjected to any sequence can be used in this particular fashion. And when the damage reaches to value 1, then we assume that it is a failure. That is the critical value. That is the overall postulate. Apart from the nonlinearity, introduction of the nonlinearity term, remaining things are same in this particular theory. We have to just go on adding. Total damage is N1 by capital N1 whole to the power m plus next load cycle. In this case, next is N2 by N2 power m, then N3 by N3 power m. So like this, how many you have, all you can add. Same way how you have used the linear rule. The only question is to determine the power m, and this value has to be given or understood from the experiments. There is no empirical value. It is not material value. It is the value which has to be determined based on the material response to different stress levels. What is that effect of various stress levels? Say, instead of applying 22,000, I start with instead of applying 22,000, if I have started with 12,000 and then went to 22,000, the m value is different compared to I applied 12,000 first and then went to the 22,000 first and then went to the 12,000. M value for this sequence and m value for this sequence is different, despite numericals are same. Value wise it looks same, but the response of the material for these two stress levels are different. This is the difficulty. It is not same. If the sequence is changed, the m value becomes different. Okay, so that we have to understand from this particular theory. So here graph is shown for the Markov-Starkey theory. For each stress value, how the damage is going to occur, that we will plot over the graph. Each stress value, say in the previous problem we had 22,000 pounds of load. You apply this load and determine how the damage is progressing in the material. You had steel 4340 material that is given. AISI 4340 steel was the given material. Applied load was 22,000 pound. Okay. When you apply this load alone, how the damage is propagating in the material. So for example, this is the damage propagation curve. It is not linear. You can see this is not a linear curve. It is some non-linear curve. It is not a straight line. Palmgren-Minor rule means you are going to have straight line from here to there. This is a linear rule with constant slope, where here it is non-linear curve. Similarly, next to determine for 12,000 Newton, 12,000 pound of loading, how the damage will go. Only for that. And then construct this arrow marked curve is there now. This curve shows the sequence of applied load. Here 4 magnitudes are there, sigma 3, sigma 1, sigma 4. In this sequence, the load is applied. Okay, maybe you take this is 50 ksi, this could be 60 ksi, 70 and 80 ksi. On the component, first sigma 1 is used, sigma 3 is applied. So the applied sequence is 70 ksi, then come to 50 ksi, then go to 80 ksi, again 70, then 60, then 50, then sigma 3, again 70. This is the applied sequence, in which sequence the load is applied and how many cycles, N1, N3 number of cycles. So like that. Okay. So this is the sequence what is applied. So that sequence line is shown with the arrow mark. what is drawn here to there, what is the jumping arrow marks are there now. That is how the damage is progressing. That is the path of damage, how the damage is getting progressed. Okay. So this is a damage progressing path. You can see at some places there is no damage is occurring. At some places there is some damage is occurring. Okay. You can clearly observe that difference. So this is a way how experimentally we can determine. For each load, you determine the damage and plot it, and then go for the sequence effect, match the sequence effects. Okay. So this theory is I have given in your handout. You can look into there. All this theory is mentioned. This example also I have given. Okay, this is a simple example just to show you the sequence effect. You consider two cases. Once the path starting from here, starting from origin O, you travel in this particular path up to the point M, and then apply the next stress level and reach here to the damage 1. This is the damage 1 position. Okay. 2 load cycles or 3 load cycles have shown here. Actually, this is for Palmgren-Minor theory, what is predicted. No sequence effect is possible. Okay. Only sigma 1 and sigma 2. Let us consider this is sigma 1 line and this is sigma 2 line. Damage path if only sigma 2 is applied. The curves. Okay. And this is damage path if only sigma 1 is applied. Sigma 1 and sigma 2. The arrow marks are showing the path which in the sequence how we are applying the load. Okay, that is what is mentioned here. So if you calculate and see from 0 to A, you come to this particular, you apply sigma 2, then you start applying sigma 1. At that time, what is the particular damage? Okay, first apply sigma 2 first. OABF, the second case, sigma 2 first. This is the damage because of sigma 2 and then damage because of sigma 1. Altogether, we are finding 1.47, which is greater than 1. Okay. If we follow the other path, let me change the color. If we follow the other path, we have applied sigma 1 first up to this extent. Sigma 1 we have applied and then we have applied the sigma 2. Then what is the damage? You can make a note, you can compare these two values. Just by changing the sequence of the load, we are finding the difference in the damage. Okay. So the important observation is if the stress value is decreasing, that means first you apply a higher load cycle, then you apply the smaller load cycle, the damage occurred is lesser. If you apply small magnitude load cycle first and then you apply the large magnitude load cycle, then the damage applied is more, damage observed is more. Okay, this is because of the state of stress which is there in the material, which is observed in the material. Okay. So this theory I have already given. Sequence effect, you just read it. Any doubts, anything is there, you let me know. Okay. Yeah, some idea I will just provide this in the next class. This example I will just explain because today we have to make quiz now. I will stop the lecture here. You can read this in your handouts I have given. Okay. Just wait for 2-3 minutes. I will provide the link. Okay, I have posted the link here. You can open the same and answer the quiz. Simple 2 questions, no calculations, immediately you can do and submit. You want, I can give you 2 to 3 minutes for answering. Also, the previous quizzes I have returned, all the quizzes, even every classwork I have returned, you can go through and any doubts you can ask me. After this quiz is answered, I will answer all your queries.
What is the closing time?
2 minutes from the time I have posted.
Okay.
You are done means you can submit. Simple questions. You want 1 minute extra, I'll give you 3 minutes.
Can we leave?
Yeah, if you have submitted, you can leave. Or you can leave also, no
Thank you, sir.
problem. No need to wait here. You have any doubts, any queries, you stay back in previous quizzes.
Thank you, sir.
Those who don't have any queries, you can leave. You can answer the quiz and you can leave. Okay, no need to wait here. Anybody is having any query, you can stay back. Okay, last few seconds. Those who are not submitted, please submit. Yes, it's time. If anybody is not submitted, you may not be able to submit. Anyone is facing any issue, let me know quickly here. Those who are here, have you submitted?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, anyone is having any queries related to the previous questions or something? Do you have any doubt or anything to ask?
Sir, I went out with one of the quizzes.
Yes, yes, please. Live class quiz, no?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So live class quiz won the second question.
One,
So the second question of the live class quiz won.
which class? Previous one, nah?
So the first quiz.
Quiz one. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
1 minute. Let me open here. Today's quiz, many are not submitted. Please ask your friends, those who are not submitted, to submit. Have you all submitted, those who are here? Please ask them to submit immediately. I have just kept it open. Okay. My screen is visible, huh? Not visible. 1 minute. I will share. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So this is, I think, quiz 1. Okay. Class 1, quiz 1. For a given material, if the notch radius is decreased, then the notch sensitivity dash, it is going to decrease. Okay, it is not increasing or decreasing. You can see the equation of notch sensitivity Q. Q is equal to any equation, whether it is Peterson's approach or Newber's approach. Apart from a square root, the equation is same. So 1 by 1 plus A by R, denominator. 1 plus A by R is in the denominator and R is the notch root radius. If R value is decreased, you get your total denominator value larger. Total denominator value larger, which means that you are going to have the, maybe I'll write here if someone forgot the equation. Notch sensitivity factor Q is 1 by 1 plus A by R, and this R is a notch sensitivity factor. If this R is small, the net denominator 1 by 1 plus whatever value you get, this whole together, this is going to increase. If R is going to decrease, if this decreases, then the denominator is going to increase. If denominator is large, the notch sensitivity factor Q becomes small and smaller. So that is the concept which you can you have to utilize there for this particular question. The second particular question was, if a component is subjected to cyclic load with small mean stresses compared to alternating component, then the life predicted by the mean stress correction criteria. Mean stress correction criteria means Soderberg, Goodman, Gerber, and etc. Okay, so it is said that mean stress is small. Let us go back here. I will write here only in this particular slide. You have Soderberg criteria. For example, this is alternating stress by sigma E, for example, and here we have the mean stress by the yield stress is equal to 1. Okay, then Goodman criteria, sigma A, sigma E plus mean stress by the ultimate is equal to 1, and we have sigma A by sigma E plus sigma M and sigma ultimate to the square is equal to 1. So this is Soderberg, this is Goodman, then we have Gerber, And if you want Morrow or elliptical, ASME elliptical curve equation, whatever. So all are in the similar fashion, maybe with the one factor here and there. So here sigma m with the fracture stress is equal to 1, Morrow criteria. So if the mean stress is very small, this sigma m value is very small, let us say 1 unit. Though your yield or ultimate or sigma f is different, or you have the ratio sigma m by sigma u whole square ratio, it becomes further small. So the entire term is very small, almost equal to 0. When the mean stresses are 0, these entire terms effect is very small when comparing to the large amplitudes, this factor. So when coming to this particular factor, okay. So what is happening? Obviously, all the theories will predict the ideally same solution, but comparing, because there is a small change with these factors sigma y, sigma u, sigma f, and the ultimate. Especially for a ductile material, there is significant deviation between these. Okay, because of that, some minor variation, but all the theories will predict the approximately same result. Okay, that should be the answer for this particular question. So your understanding is important to address this. So approximately same with negligible variation should be the right answer. Okay, so that is about quiz 1. The same question I have asked today. Purposefully I asked today the same question despite this much discussion, and we have almost ended the chapter right cycle fatigue. Even today's class there is same response I am getting. Most of the people are again not answering this particular. Okay, what is happening here? Okay, so this is about today's quiz. You see the same question is same. I have just changed the statement just to make it little bit application based. A machine tool strut is designed to take axial load, is experiencing cyclic load such that the alternating stresses are much greater than the mean stress developed. The life of the component is required to be predicted through only 4 I have mentioned, but nothing but predicted through the mean stress correction. In such case, life will be comparable. This should be the answer. Same question given with a different, context. That is it. Answer is same. Then coming to the quiz 2, you have here the machine part, completely reversed bending load, R value -1. Under the given loading, the part dash, just take cycle ratio and see how much simple it is, how much time it is required. This only discussion we were having now. How much is required for a given stress value? Just have to use D is equal to N1 by N1, N2 by N2, and N3 by N3. What is the given values? For 625, 550, you have here number of cycle applied 3600, 3800. Okay, so the first one is 3600 divided by 3800 plus the next value. What is given? 28,000, 1,30,000. So 28,000, 1,30,000. Okay, and the 1,50,000 something divided by infinity. Calculate this how much. If this value is greater than 1, the component fails. In this case, you get it to be greater than 1. Therefore, you have to write the component is going to fail. Anyone tried that answer right way?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Nine have got it right. Quite simple, straightforward questions. You see the next question here. Question number 2. Aluminum alloy. The SN curve. Constant A and B are given. You have to just calculate the stress value. Use the Baskin equation. No, all the things are given. You have to use Baskin equation. SNF is equal to A, NF to the power B. A and B values are given. A is given, B is given. NF, it is said that endurance. You see the statement straightforward. Instead of quoting this much cycle, it is said that material will endure. Material will endure means you have to get the 10 to the power value. To get that, you have to look for material. Somehow calculated, but they have took 10 to the power 6. I know. That is why this question purposefully given. This is not 10 to the power 6. Why? This is aluminum alloy. For aluminum alloy, it is 10 to the power 8. I think that is the mistake most of the people have done. It is not 10 to the power 6. So NF you have to take. This NF you have to take depending on the material. For aluminum, you take 10 to the power 8 and you determine, you will get your answer. Okay, those who have got, that is the right answer. And finally, about another question of today's. First question I already told. The second question, cycle ratio and the sequence effect. Just now I was talking about. Linear theories cannot predict the sequence effect. Linear theories cannot predict the sequence effect. That is what is our total discussion. Why we want non-linear theories. And despite of that, many are writing it true. Why? Why anyone? Those who are written true, what was that confusion you had? Anyone can? Any issue? No, if you tell me, I can clarify or I can give you or explain in another way if you are not understood. That is the importance of conducting quizzes, no? Regular course quizzes is kind of a, feedback or measurement of how much you have understood of the topic of that day. That is why we are conducting. It is not simply to give you some marks. You don't consider these regular quizzes from marks point of view. This is your reflection on what you have understood. That way it is. Okay, so please, if you have any query or though it is mistake, you please tell me or communicate what way you thought to arrive at that answer, because that could help even your friends to not to make the same mistake in the future or think in the other path. So that will help us. You want to share, anyone? No one want to share anything? Okay, fine. If there are no other queries about today's class, thank you all for joining for today's session. Have a nice day. We'll meet in the next class. Bye.
Thank you, sir.